Hello everyone, and thank you for joining me. Today we're playing the second episode of STARBAT of 2466, a solo RPG actual play, superheroes in the future, and we'll do all that right after the intro. Hi folks, and welcome to Sharp Mountain Games. Here we talk about group role-playing games, solo role-playing games, and there are plenty of actual plays in the playlist. You can check out our print and PDF products at Amazon, Lulu, Drivethrurpg, and Roll20. And they're all linked below. Let's get started, and we're glad you're here. So thank you for joining me today. And let me just give a quick little plug just to let you know that Streamline Superheroes is now available in print from Amazon, and the link is below. It's absolutely less than a trip to McDonald's will cost you, especially if you have kids. I just have the link below. Just want to let you know that that's available. Now, let's get rid of that and tell you what game we're playing tonight. Because we're not doing Streamline Superheroes. Rather, we're doing Sharp Mountain Solo, which is another game that I'll have the link below. That's on Drivethrurpg, and it's pay what you want. So you can have it for free. You can throw me $1 or $2 if you so choose. That's up to you, but you can have it, within a few minutes if you want. And let me give a special thank you because I think that's really important. I remember seeing a jazz performer, Maynard Ferguson, many years ago. I was really impressed how he kept constantly, when somebody did a solo, he said their name and he reinforced that. And I want to do that too. I want to show my own gratitude. These are some folks who've done actual play videos using Sharp Mountain Solo, and they've all put their own little spin on it. And that's Mage Hammer, Solo Spelunking, Tabletop Wanderer, and Virtual Muse. So you could check all those folks out if you like, and give them a view. Let me just say it again: Mage Hammer, Solo Spelunking, Tabletop Wanderer, and Virtual Muse. So thank you guys for doing that for me. I really appreciate it. And the system is always evolving. So how does it work? And what are we going to do tonight? Let me show you a character card here. It's a 2d6 system where you roll this number or above. So for close combat, you need a 6 or above. STARBAT, who's Wayne Robbins, needs a 5 or above to use his detective skills. And in some cases, you get advantage where you roll 3 dice and keep the 3 higher ones. I'm going to do damage a little bit differently tonight, just because I want to try it out. It's night as I'm recording this. Rather than hit points, we're going to use hits. So when you get hit, you get missed 1 hit, and criticals are going to be a 10 through 12. That's about an 8% chance, which is slightly better than the 5% you get on a standard D20, but I don't think it's going to break anything. If I find it's a problem and it's not working, we can always adjust it next time. But that's one of the beauties of solo gaming, and I do hope you try solo gaming. If you want to play along and you want to play this adventure or another one, maybe from another content creator that you see on YouTube, I just think that's wonderful. And you say, well, I've already seen the adventure. No, try it for yourself because it'll be different. Maybe your characters will make different choices. Maybe you'll use different dice. You don't need to use Sharp Mountain Solo. You can use any system you want. If there's another system that you really prefer using, I'd say just stick with a lighter system. So go get solo role-playing if you'd like. So let me give you the recap and tell you about STARBAT here, and you can see I have my little Batman meeple. So this is in the future. He is not Batman. In the year 2466, trillionaire Wayne Robbins has adapted the secret identity of STARBAT as a crusader for justice. He patrols Sharp Mountain City like a lonely bat. Now, what happened last episode? STARBAT captured a bank robber, but 2 of them got away, and they seem to have this superhuman burst of speed. So he was tasked by Commissioner Robotor. Let me bring Commissioner Robotor there. I haven't made cards for them yet. I think that'll come eventually in the future. But he was tasked by Commissioner Robotor, who kind of acts like a Commissioner Gordon type, with finding out where these people were getting their enhancements and how they're getting onto the Earth. So this takes place in Sharp Mountain City, which is on the Earth in the future. And the problem with these enhancements is that they're using them for robberies, and they use them against the police to beat up the police. So he went out and he investigated a bar, and he came across a criminal, stray cat, Kylie Moon. And however, she claims she's trying to go straight. He's a little worried, is she going to rat him out to the criminals for money? So he had to intimidate a bar patron, and he got the name of the person he thinks is bringing the stuff into town. And that's a character by the name of Breaker. However, on the way out, they were attacked by drones. And this little plastic flying saucer I have here just represented the drones. And they defeated the drone without too much trouble. And STARBAT was able to use his detective skills to get some of the tech so that he could analyze it a bit. So he has this tech, and he has said to the stray cat, he says, you're going to meet me right off the main center about midnight. And she says, oh, of course. It'll be like a date. He says. So we'll take her off screen, off camera for right now. We'll take the commissioner off camera right now. And he is going to head back to his STARBAT cave. And those of you who know me know that I'm pretty low tech, pretty lo-fi. So let's build our STARBAT cave. Look at that. That's amazing. I mean, it's like cinematic here. So there's our STARBAT cave, which is underneath his very expensive penthouse. Let's have him go through there. And that's kind of part of the fun of all this. Yes, it's a little childlike, but, what else are you going to do here on a Tuesday night as I'm recording this? And this is going out on Thanksgiving weekend, by the way, folks. So, you may be busy on Thanksgiving or busy Black Friday or whatever doing your stuff, but I hope you get a chance to watch the video, and I hope you get a chance to, spend time with the people you love and all that too. All right, so he's going back to the Bat Cave, and he has a robotic butler, or I don't know if servant's the word I want to use, but his robotic companion, AI Fred. So it's an AI computer, and you figure by 2466, they're very, very powerful. So he says, I have this technology from this drone. He said, but, I don't know the origin of it, or if there's anything that you can find out about it, where it was manufactured. And he says, well, I'll certainly try. So I'm going to give him 2 out of 3. He needs to make 2 out of 3 computer rolls. And since he's AI, I think, computer stuff's going to be what he's best at. He does some patching up as well. I almost dropped my dice. Solo Splunky did that on his most recent video too. So let's see. All right, 5. He just made it. That's his best skill. So he needs a 5 or better on 2 out of 3 rolls. What did we get here? Oh, another 5. Look at that. Let's do the third one, just see what happens. 6. Boy, they're rolling low tonight. And AI Fred says, that he is able to get some information out of this. It seems to be technology from Ridgecore, which is in the city, run by a certain Luther Ridge. But that's not really important right now. He says, well, let me see if I can get a little more information about, if anything went out of Luther Ridgecore. He says, recently. So he says, I kind of have to hack into the system. Now, STARBAT has a detective skill. So what I'm going to say is I'm going to give him a detective's role, and if he makes it, then I'll let AI Fred make it with advantage. No, he did not make it. So, maybe this is really encrypted. He says, I just can't break through here with the computers in the Star Cave. And AI Fred said, well, we'll see what we can do. So he needs a 5 or better. I'm really shaking him up to make sure to randomize him. Oh, look at that, a 9. So that's just fine for him getting some information. So he says, well, there was a very recent transaction with a fella down, by where the starports are, and but it's the rougher part of the starports. It's a middleman, some middleman that he works out that way. A Dralicite fellow by the name of Squeegee, and it's a Squeegee. That's a strange name. But AI Fred says, well, that's just what happens, with other people. So he says, you can give me the location. I'm going to pay a visit to this Squeegee and see what's going on. So he has to make a decision here. Now, this is probably early in the morning, so he says, well, I'm going to have to get my rest. And then, he's going to meet about 10 p.m. He's supposed to meet the stray cat somewhere, downtown. So he's going to rest. And, because he is a trillionaire, he has his own company, the Robbins Company. His name is Wayne Robbins. And he does spend some time at the office during the day. Does get some time in the gym to, hone his muscles and keep his skills up, his acrobatic skills, because he has a pretty good fitness level. So he does all that during the day, and finally night falls, and he has to make some decisions himself. And he talks. He says, "I don't know if I should trust the cat anymore. Perhaps she's going to sell me out. But the other option is if I don't, she's liable to pursue this on her own. Maybe it's better to just have her, where I can see her." And AI Fred says, "Oh, I'm really not certain, Master Wayne." He said that's completely up to you. I don't know all that much about human interactions. Certainly other than what I get off the large language models. And our bat says, "Well, you just stay here. I'll have to figure it out. I keep her with me for now." So he goes out on patrol, and he does have a Space Bat themed vessel that he drives into town, and he has certain places where he can park things very discreetly. We'll move AI Fred out of the way for now, and eventually maybe I'll get tokens for these guys if we decide the adventure continues. But this is really nice. And remember, you don't need all these. You don't need little figures and things to tell your own stories. Just use whatever you have, especially if you're just playing around yourself. You can just keep some notes in a journal or a piece of scrap paper. So here's our Allie, and he is not sure whether she's going to be there. Let's have him use his sneaking and thievery. So he needs a 7 or better. 8, yep, that's good. So he's just sneaking real quiet, and yes, she is waiting in the alley. So he swoops down to meet her. "Oh, you came back. I didn't know if you would, or if you'd have other things." And she says, "Well, a chance for an evening with you," she says, perhaps facetiously. And she says, "Well, what did you find out? Did you get any information?" He says, "Yeah, maybe you can help us out here. Maybe there's some things that you know. Middleman guy down by the down at the old starport, the rough end of town, kind of where things get pretty rough out that way. Guy by the name of Squeegee. Do you ever run anything through him?" And she says, "Oh, well, maybe." She says, we go way back. She said, "Perhaps I can even be of help to you in that regard. Maybe, when we get there, I can talk to him and convince him to give us some information." He says, "Oh, that'll be good. If you're really turning over a new leaf on life, that would be perfect. It would be a perfect way to show it." So let's take them down there. So you can see I've changed the scenery a little bit, and this is supposed to represent kind of the rougher part of town, kind of with all these sewer grates or whatever they are. Kind of hope it's a little bit sort of Blade Runner maybe looking. And they make their way down there, and she says, "Well, let me first do the talking in here. Let's just see what happens." And he says, That's fine. So she says, "Well, maybe we should check this out first." So she is going to kind of see if he's in with anybody. So she's using her sneaking thievery, and that's an 11. I don't know if you can see that. That's an 11. So she's very quiet, and she sneaks up to the window, and she sees him inside his store. Now, is he alone or not? We're going to say 50-50. So 1, 2, 3, he's alone. 1, he's alone. So whatever business he had with other people is done for the night. In fact, maybe he's starting to close up because this is about 10 o'clock at night or after. Figured till they got down there, it's probably 10:30. I wonder if STARBAT let her ride in his vehicle. I'm not sure. I have to look around and see if I have a little sort of space vehicle that they could use. So he says, "So how are we going to play this? Am I doing the talking or are you? Are we both going in?" She says, "Well, I think we'd better both go in." And he says, "Oh, fine. So they just enter and very quietly, as best they can and close the door behind them. And Squeegee sees her, and he sees the bat. And he says, "Oh, no, I didn't do it. Have you brought them to take me in?" And she says, "No, not necessarily. We're just here for some information with my new friend." "Oh," he says, some friends. He's liable to run me in. And I didn't do it. I'm just a small-time guy, an accountant, basically. I just move things around here." And he says, "Well, she says you're her friend. Perhaps you can give some information." So she asks, and she says, "We're trying to find this guy Breaker." And I'm going to say that it is unlikely that he would want to tell her about this. No, he says. So she's going to make a personality roll. And I'm using my own chart here. This is on Drivethrurpg, if you're interested in it. Oh, and I think I just moved the dice. So I'm pretty sure I disturbed the dice. I'm not trying to get a better result. But, well, that's a 5, so I didn't get a better result. So he says, no, he's a dangerous person, very dangerous person. I've got to keep quiet. I wouldn't have any dealings with him. And the bat kind of leans over and clutches at him a little bit, and he's all rubbery because he's a kind of an amoeboid guy. He said, "You're going to tell us." He said, "Cops are getting hurt. You're going to tell us now." He's lost his patience. And he's got an 8. His personality is 6, so he's using that to intimidate. So I'm going to say that is definitely good enough. Unfortunately, he had to resort to not friendly means here. So he says, "Oh, all right. I tell you, Breaker." And he said, "Well, that's good." He said, we know that. What's the location? Where is Breaker?" "Oh, well, he'll come after me. He'll send his thugs after me." He says, "Not if we get him and send him in jail. Then you'll be much safer." And then she says, to convince him, she says, "And we're not going to tell him. We're not going to go spreading your name around." 5. Her personality is 6. They're not rolling well on the personality. He says, "Well, I tell you a little bit, but I can't tell you exactly where." He said, they're at the old junkyard, the Starship junkyard. A lot of crashed ships there. He said, "But you didn't hear from me. Please, you didn't hear from me." He says, "Oh, I'll be out of business." And the bat says, No. He lets him go. He said, "I'm sorry I had to rough you up, but this is important." He said, "We're not. Who are we going to go and tell it we were here? We might need you for information in the future." And Squeegee says, I guess that's the case. So STARBAT says, I think we've got what we need here, Cat. It sounds like we've got a busy evening ahead of us." He said, and so they leave. And in fact, he's going to say, no, go out through a back door. So I'm going to assume there's a back door so they can quietly sneak out because he doesn't want anybody seeing that they were here. So she says, "Well, what's the plan here?" He says, "I don't know. We'll have to get a little closer and see what's going on." So I'm not going to pause the video here. I'm just going to move the thing, and I got to find the junkyard map. I know it's right in here, so bear with me for one moment. There we go. And I think that'll work. This is a pretty standard junkyard, but it's a space junkyard. So you got to imagine, maybe I can just put a few starships around here. There's some ships parts and things like that. And I think there would be a fence around it as well as they creep up to the junkyard. Now, who's going to go first? Let's see. And I got to put the dice where you can see them, but it's not too much in the way. It's like right about there is pretty good. So who is going to sneak up? Whoever gets the higher roll on this. Blue is the bat and the STARBAT, and pink is the stray cat. So she says, "Let me go ahead. Let me sneak up and see what's going on." So her sneaking and thievery is a 5. Actually, that's better than his. She only needs a 5 or better, and we got a 7 there. So everything is okay. She sneaks up to see what she can see, and there is an alien dog, an alien creature. But I don't have an alien dog. I only have this dog that I got. I think I got him from a yard sale leavings box. You know, when they put the box out on the curb, every once in a while you find some treasures there. So she sneaks up and she sees this dog. And she quick comes back and she says, you know, I got to tell you, there's just inside there's some kind of guard dog. You know, we have to be quiet about this. And he says, oh, I don't like the idea of hurting an animal. She says, well, you know, maybe we could just knock him out, or we have to do something because otherwise we won't be able to sneak up on them and to get past it. He said, I'm sure the dog would smell us and eventually it would be a problem. He says, oh, well, let's think about what we're going to do. He said, I don't have any food or anything to distract it. And she says, yeah, I know. I think we're just going to have to go for it. And he says, well, I have these smoke pellets. He said, maybe if I can throw them, you'd be able to get in and quick tie it up and neutralize it or something. So she says, well, that's good. That sounds like a plan. So they are going to both sneak up. So I would say this is a, they also get 2 free advantage rolls. So they really want to get this right. I don't think I'm going to give them any advantage on the sneaking here. I think I'm going to keep it just for a little while longer in case I need it. Now, he already burned one of his advantages, I believe, last episode. So let's see if they both succeed. Yes, they both succeed. So that's great. They both succeed very nicely. Although there's not degrees of success. So they are going to sneak up. So I'm going to say, yeah, they snuck up, and that's going to give them the ability to get the drop on him. So STARBAT is going to throw his smoke pellet there, hopefully to confuse the dog a little bit. And if that works, I'm going to give her advantage to getting in there and trying to tie the dog up. He gives her a bit of his STARBAT rope. So he needs, let's see, we'll use, well, he doesn't really have any special throwing stuff here. I'm going to say he needs an 8 or better then. No, he did not get that. So he throws the smoke pellet. I mean, he can do that, but that's not going to give her any special advantage. So she's going to jump in, and I'm going to say that would be fitness, more so than close combat. Well, maybe close combat. Let's say close combat. She needs a 7 or better to start tying the dog up. Yes, and she got it, a 9. So that's going to be 1 success. But the dog is, you know, there's all that smoke around. I mean, and I'm going to say he'll eventually jump down too. But I'm going to give the dog a chance to bite at her because he really should. Well, unless we'll have him bite and we'll decide who he hits in a second. If he hits. He needs a 7 or better. Yes, he did bite one of them. 1, 2, 3 is STARBAT. 4, 5, 6 is Stray Cat. Oh, look at it spin. Come on, stop already. Oh, it bites the cat for 1 point here. So let me make a note of that. And now they are going to get to try and they're both going to work and try to tie this dog up. And now this is an alien beast, but they're trying their best not to hurt it. You know, I know it would be cruel to do that to the dog, but they're an alien dog, but they're going to do their best to be as humane as they can. So let's see. He got an 8. Okay, so that's a good one. She did not. So this alien creature, but maybe it's not making a really bad sound there. They're making some progress. Let's see if he bites, and I got to decide who he bites. If he succeeds. 6, no, he doesn't bite. Or he's not, he's snapping, but they're able to get out of its way. So let's see how we do. Yeah, that's enough. They both get a success there. And they were able to, tie up and get this dog. Maybe they put him in one of the containers too, but they'll come back for him later. Just to keep him quiet and keep him penned up. Oh, he says, I don't like doing that. I don't like doing things to animals. And she said, no, of course not. She said, but people are getting hurt. I says, oh, you've taken some damage here. She said, well, I know, but I just don't think we have time to do any medical stuff right now. She said, maybe afterwards. So, because they're really close and they've made some noise. And she says, we've probably even possibly alerted them. She said, we're going to have to go into the main, and we're going to pretend this is like a, not so much a cargo container like the ones we're used to, but maybe a cargo container from a starship. So he says, well, are we going ahead? Or are we sneaking in together? She said, no, we're going to stay together. He's glad, and he's thinking to himself, I'm glad for that, because he's worried, would she go ahead and try and alert them? So let's see how they do on their sneaking thievery. She needs a 5 or better, which is good. He needed a 7 or better, just barely. So that's more than half of them. They make it, they sneak in, and they see inside is Breaker. And he has all kind of cabinets and things set up, and like a little chemistry area here. No, here's Breaker, this one here. So I want you to think about, I'm trying to channel here, Bane from with the one Batman movie, or I knew him first from the comics, and he seems to have a whole chemistry setup in here, and for these cybernetics, and he has a thug in there with him, or a henchman, and he's saying, well, we got to prepare this and all that. And what was that noise outside? I don't know what that noise was outside. So hope there's not a problem. He said, and we stand to make big money selling this to the different gangs. They can enhance their members, and they'll be the criminals will take over this city, and we'll be the main supplier of all this. And he says, yes, boss, that's not a problem. Now his henchman is an alien, and I think this will be the one I use. Probably one of those guys who got away. Remember there were guys who got away. In fact, there were 2 of them. So I think maybe he's going to have 2 of them. So STARBAT whispers, he says, I'm going after the big guy. He says, you see what you could do with those 2 others. Now they snuck in here. So does that mean they're going to get the jump on them? I would say that's very likely. So on a 1 through 5. 2, so we're fine on that. So they are going to get the jump on them. So STARBAT is going to swing in here, and he is going after the Bane-like character. So he jumps in, he kicks off some of the chemistry stuff, and you can imagine too, this is 2466, so there's a lot of high-tech equipment there, and she is going to jump in and try and do whatever she can to these 2 guys here. So let's see. I'll have him go first, and he's going to burn his last advantage here. And he says something to the effect of, you're bringing this stuff into my city. We'll see about that. And you can see my cards are kind of sneaking in here. So he's using this one with advantage, and this is his close combat. Needs a 6 or better. Oh, look at that. A 4. All 3 2s. Terrible. And this fella says, oh, here, that's what you think. So he is going to take his round. He needs a 6 or better. And this is our first combat of the night. 4, he misses. So they swing at each other and a miss. Maybe the STARBAT jumps up on the table and kicks some things out of the way. Now let's see. Let's have Stray Cat go. And she has 2 advantages. I think she's going to burn them just these first 2 rounds. He's out of advantages for the day. Yep, so she's fine. 10, she does. Oh, okay, that's good. Because remember, 10 or better is a crit. So she takes out one of these henchmen right away. Just takes him out of the picture. In fact, let's just move him out of the way here. Now she's doing non-lethal damage. I think she's using her climbing claws here to scratch at them. But that means that this fella here is going to get a hit at her. He needs an 8 or better. And she already took 1 hit. No, he misses. So top of the round now. STARBAT is going after the Bane-like character, Breaker. They both need a 6 or better. Okay, STARBAT does not get it, but he takes a hit. Ugh. The Breaker is able to, well, break into him. He says, I'll break you, break your back maybe. Pretty rough, huh? Okay, so Stray Cat is still going after the alien henchman here. She's hoping she can take care of him. They're kind of weak. They only have 2 hit points, whereas our heroes have 5. Like I said, I'm trying the hits version of it this time and see if I like that. So let's see. She does not hit. Oh, but that's a 12. Look at that. So 10 to 12. She gets 2 hits. Oh, look at that. 3 6s. How can you can't miss here. Wow, she's rolling so hot tonight and takes care of those no problem. And she says, I'm coming, STARBAT. So she is coming over, and they are going to try to pin in Breaker here. Now, he gets 2. He can attack 2 different characters. He gets 2 attacks per round. Now, I am going to rule that he can't use them both on the same person, but he can like swing his arms and hit the 2 of them. So I believe they've both used up their advantages. So let's see what's going on here. So STARBAT is just using his fists and his fighting gloves. Our Stray Cat is using her claws. And this fella, he has even kind of tubes, connecting him that seem to be pumping him up with the nanite juice or something. Let's see how he does. Let's see how they all do. Okay, so STARBAT missed. Stray Cat hit him. I believe that's his first hit for the night. He also has 5 HP because he's kind of like the hero. And did he hit anybody? Yes, so he hit, let's say he hit STARBAT. Oh, I got to do his second attack. And then he swings also at Stray Cat. Oops, her dice was there. But yeah, he hit her. So they've each taken 2, and the bad guy has taken 1. All right, next round. They're in there. They're fighting away. Let me grab a couple other dice here because it'll make it go quicker. That's one nice thing about this system is if you roll a bunch of dice at once, it goes super quick for combat. And I'm not puffing it up. Certainly you can play any system you want, but for me, this works really nicely. Okay, so there's my boatload of dice. Close combat. Let's see. STARBAT hits. She hits. 6 and 6. He hits them both. So they each take another point of damage, but they're starting to make their way on him too. Okay. Next round, and STARBAT, of course, says something effective, just give yourself up now and we'll end this operation. Why take any more of a beating? And he says, oh, that's what you think. And this is pretty even here for all of them. So the dice are really going to decide. Okay. STARBAT hits. Old Breaker here. The cat misses. Breaker misses, and Breaker misses. Yeah, because he needs 6s, and he only got 5s. So, he gets beat up pretty badly. Now, I have to roll to see if something's going to happen here. Let me see, because I have it. Yeah, it's very likely. Okay, they see him. He's going to skip one of his attacks, and he is reaching for something on his belt. So, let's do this one more round here, but he still has one arm free. And let's finish this round and see what happens. Okay, the bat misses. The cat does not miss. Does he hit? Yes, he hits one of them. And let's see who he hits. 1, 2, 3 is the bat. 456 is the cat. So he hits the cat. She is pretty beat up. But he is not able to get whatever was on his belt and collapses. Ugh. And Stray Cat is really, she's looking pretty rough, but does not collapse. And STARBAT comes over. He's concerned about her. You know, oh, how are you? You took quite a beating there. She says, I'll make it. Just got to catch my breath. I'll make it. She says, but go over and secure him. She says, I'll go tie up those two outside. So she ties up the two outside. He finds that on Breaker's belt was a like a teleport remote. He's trying to teleport out of here, he says. So STARBAT says, I'm going to contact the police. And she says, oh, well, I think that's my cue to take off here. I don't think I'm going to be here when they show up. She said, but it's been nice working with you. You know, maybe again. And he says, oh, you were a good ally. I was a little surprised, perhaps. She says, oh, surprise. Huh, thought you thought more of me. What's a girl to do? So she takes off into the night because she does not want to be here when the commissioner and the cops come to round these people up. And STARBAT, tells him, I think this stuff was coming from off planet. He was planning on setting up a distribution ring, sell it to all the local criminals. And he says, the commissioner says, I don't think we could have done it without you, STARBAT. That's wonderful. And he says, well, believe it or not, I had a little help from the stray cat. And the commissioner says, her? Really? That's surprising. He says, well, she claims she's going straight, but who knows? Maybe it's just cover, or maybe it's just for now. And Commissioner says, well, we can only hope. We can only hope that she's going straight and could be as much of an asset to the city, even half as much of an asset to Sharp Mountain City as you, STARBAT. And STARBAT says, oh, no, it's all of us. It's all of us working together. And I think that's a really good place to leave this. I do have some ideas moving forward. Thank you so much for watching. Please check out the other channels that I mentioned at the beginning of the video. Please pick up Sharp Mountain Solo for yourself. Like I said, it's pay what you want. You can have it for free. You can throw me a buck if you want. You don't have to. You can have it for free. If you're watching this over Thanksgiving weekend, I am thankful that you're watching. But please let me know in the comments if you like this, if you want to see more with Wayne Robbins, the STARBAT, or if you want me to go back to one of my other series, which I will, as things go on. I haven't forgotten my other characters. But please let me know if you like STARBAT, if you like this. And one last thing, too. Somebody mentioned, this seems a lot like the Bat of Fallcrest on Solo Spelunking's channel, which you definitely should check out. It's a medieval version of a bat-themed superhero. So that's one of the reasons. Yeah, it was a bit of an inspiration, but I wanted to do the future version, to do something different. And I tend to lean more towards the science fiction. So thanks for watching. We'll see you again. Just thank you so much.